Hello.
Hello, how are you this week?
Good. I'm so used to saying good morning, but it's not.
That's right. We're tempting fate with our
With
afternoon,
our
like
sleepy time podcast recording.
the witching hour,
Yeah.
sleepy time. So true. From like noon on.
And this
Yeah,
will be our last recording for a couple of weeks because I am heading to the tropics
I love that for you.
without my mic.
I tried, people. I tried to get her to take us with her, and she said absolutely not. Not on a plane, not on a beach.
Nope.
Actually, I would never do that to you. I'm glad that you're going and getting some R&R.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's go out with a bang and
With a
talk
bang.
about
So we
drum roll.
we thought, yeah, we thought it would be interesting to talk about the just all the different ways and do's and don'ts and do's and different do's, like all the ways that
Hmm.
you can brief creators. Um, I don't, I will start by saying I don't think there is a wrong. I think there are some things that we do that I'm fond of and I think are smart, but I don't necessarily think that there's a wrong way and well, I guess I think there are
I was like,
wrong
hold up.
ways. I don't think there is any one right way. That's the only way that you can do it. Certainly, there are some ways that are stupid. We will cover those.
Not wrong, just stupid.
But my message is you don't have to do it exactly. I might think your way is great also, even though it's different than my way.
Let's
What I want to
let me
say.
ask you this. Let's talk about first what is the purpose of the brief? Because I think that's been muddied and lost over the
Yeah.
years.
I think there are multiple purposes of the brief. I can tell you what ours cover. I mean, first of all, we see it as kind of a checklist of these are all of the things like here is the due date.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the hashtags, if that's a thing on this campaign, becoming a
Sure.
little bit less so these days. Here is the account of the brand that you have to tag in your post. Here is
Right.
the disclosure that they will require. Here is where you need to have the disclosure and how many times. Here is how you spell the brand name properly.
Right.
We've had brands where here's how you pronounce the brand name properly because it might not
100%.
be pronounced the way you think it's pronounced.
Until that first piece of content comes back and you're like, oh, we should have briefed on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has all of that, just kind of the nuts and bolts of the program. And then we tend to also include here are some examples of content that our client loves. Here are their key messages. Certainly don't feel like you have to parrot these word for word, but just understand that this is kind of the messaging that the brand is hoping to get across. If there's a specific goal of the campaign, we share that because these are professionals and they should understand what their content is trying to accomplish.
Mhm. Right.
What else do we have in there? I mean, the checklist to me is the big thing. Like, you really want to make sure they understand like every single piece that's required in
Getting
it.
this image of a all-you-can-eat buffet. So there's a price tag, the items are listed out. There's a lot of things that need to be concise, and then
Yeah.
it's a little bit of choose your own adventure. When it comes to messaging, when it comes to maybe visual style. I mean, you've
Yeah.
chosen the influencers because of their visual style,
Right.
but there might be
Right.
some guidelines in there.
And I mean, this is probably the second piece of the conversation, but I think there is an art to how the briefing is done
Mm,
because it's, if you just have a ton of words that you're sharing, a lot of them are going to get missed. We find that it has to be very visual.
mm,
We find having that checklist, like literally with check boxes, is
mm-hmm.
super helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Ironically so, because we have it live online as a website so that we can update it. Like in the instance of what I was just saying, that we had a client whose name was very complicated to pronounce, and we got some content in from people pronouncing it wrong. And so we went in because the brief lives online, we could go in and add in like a
Update
little
it.
video of the pronunciation
Oh, super smart.
of it.
There's a piece a little bit buried in what you're saying. We find that the brief is this touch point for communication with the brand, right? To make sure they're all aligned, meaning their team, because there's often more than one person weighing in on the whole
Yeah.
program.
We separate that whole thing out. So we do a strategic brief, which is like the blueprint for the whole campaign. Here's the timeline, here's everything
Right.
we're going to do. Da, da, da.
Yep.
We take all of the we take information from that and use it to create like a Google Doc, all the words, creator brief. The client approves that. We then take that and
Right.
turn it into the visual online
But it's so
one.
important, right? Because
Yeah.
I think I want to call that out because again, in this day and age, the phrase creator brief, influencer brief, creative brief gets tossed around as though it's maybe subsets of these types of things. But that part, that strategic exploration with the brand has to happen for the brief to be the fullest, most robust. And then your team goes to work and, carves it out, designs it in the right way so that it lands. Because as we've said, influencers are ultimately overwhelmed usually and undersupported, and creative minds versus organized administrative minds. And so there might be a lot of gap there. So that checklist is important.
And I mean, that just as well as I do, like how much stuff you get from a new client when you're working with them. Like, their 56-page personas deck, and then the style guide, and then, all the info.
Right.
In a past brief that they did on a program, like we might sometimes get over 100 pages of stuff from a client. And I have seen instances of agencies trying to give that volume of stuff to an influencer, and I feel, oh my gosh, I mean, and I feel like part of our job as this intermediary is to be that translator and to say like, okay, no one wants to read 120 pages of anything.
Right.
We will take that
influencer's time.
We will take that hit for you, influencers, and we will distill out what you need to know and put it in like an easy to digest visual format so that you don't have to like spend your time highlighting and taking notes. like just be able to see what is needed, and then spend your time creating this awesome content, not reading a novel.
And so this goes back to the question of what's the intent of the brief. The way you're describing it is it needs to be a springboard. It needs to be a source of inspiration, some guidelines. Yes, I think you and I agree that influencers really like guidelines and parameters. They don't want carte blanche, despite what all the talking heads on LinkedIn want you to believe. And so that often when we talk about how to do it wrong, that's one of the keys, I think, is it's no longer a springboard of inspiration. It's a prison with bars created out of words.
And I think of it like I often give the example of a creative writing class, like where you go to a creative writing class and they give you a prompt and everyone's going to respond to that prompt in a different way. Like if you and I each get a prompt, like,
talk about our upcoming vacations
or, a fictionalized account of the scariest moment of your childhood, or I don't know, everyone's going to have a different story to tell, but it's like a springboard. It's something that should inspire you and like open up your creative juices. So for us, that's, like, here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here are some key messages.
And that's so lovely too, because it creates a thread of continuity between influencers that are on the same campaign. If they all get the same brief, which by and large, we're giving the same brief to those influencers. And this also leans into what we've talked about before of how important it is that human touch, because you've pulled in influencers that you've spent time getting to know their content, their voice, and you can imagine that alongside the creator brief coming to life well, right? You're not bringing in a emo death focused influencer and giving them a brief that's fairies and rainbows and expecting that to work. You have this avatar that you've nurtured. So that's important. Again, it's not in isolation. This creative brief
Right.
cannot
Well,
live
and
in
then
isolation.
I see that like creative prompt. Our brief is like part that, and then like getting back to that whole university. Can you tell my kids are in universities? Getting back to that like whole university analogy, like it also includes the rubric, right? So to me, right, like how many times have you looked at that rubric with your kids where it's like, okay, make sure it's 3 pages, double sided, blah, blah, blah. Like this is what you're
Yes.
going to be graded on. For us, that's here's the disclosures, here's when it's due. It must
Mm-hmm.
be less than 60 seconds. Like whatever
Yes.
those
Hit
rules
this target.
are. So,
Yeah.
like, here are the parameters, here's your rubric, and then here's your creative jumping off point, your
Yes.
inspiration, your mood board, and then go have at
Yeah.
it.
As someone with a creative writing background and degree, what you're describing is there is art and then there is craft. And the craft is it's 30 to 60 seconds. It's due on this day. Like it's formulaic, logical. And then the art is that springboard of inspiration. I'm also noticing with clients that we're working with, and this lends to my earlier, we were talking off mic before recording about how many different ways to use influencer marketing or different purposes and therefore different strategies. Influencer marketing is very often used straight up as advertising, like straight up. And that brief to me looks a lot different than what you're talking about because they actually want the content to feel somewhat identical from influencer to influencer. It's a lot more, I feel like it's more constrained.
I guess I'm kind of a solidly, it depends on that. Because we work with plenty of clients who really rely on the content that we're generating to either supplement or like be their entire content mix for their advertising, but you still want people to tell their stories in their own way and be creative. Like the piece that makes it all fit into their advertising is being able to cut it all down into the right size, or be able to, maybe we're
Mm,
asking for a couple of different opening hooks so that they can generate some multiple videos,
gotcha.
for the price of one or something like
Yeah.
that. But I think even if you are using influencers purely for advertising, I'd hate to think that that brief would lose that creative writing prompt piece.
Yes, and it's less about the brief, I'm realizing as we're talking about this, than the mindset of the team behind it. So, what they expect and how formulaic they want it to be. I guess it's the age old, and you have experience with this, that tug of war between we want them to have their own voice and we love edgy and we're going to, and then, oop, brand safe. Oop, that doesn't pass. And oop, we're going to get in trouble. I've just seen that time and again where it's the ambition or the vision is really
And I think,
out
that's
there.
kind of, for me, that's why it's so nice to work with clients over an extended
Mm-hmm.
period of time on multiple campaigns. There's a client that's new to us this year. We just finished our first campaign with them and are starting our second one. And the first one, like, there was a lot of back and forth on the recruitment. So, they told us what they wanted. We interpreted it our way. We gave them a list of creators. Some of them they didn't quite love. We had some back and forth. We finally got to a list they were happy with. The content went live. They adored some of it. Some of it wasn't quite right. Like we're getting to
Yeah.
know each other, and
Yeah.
we're, like sometimes it's really hard to verbalize exactly what you want, and it's only through living through that whole experience do you really start to like fully get where they're going. And
Yeah.
then, like, to be clear, the campaign was a success. It exceeded all the benchmarks. We just finished recruitment for the second campaign with them. Man, it was so smooth. Like, we had a
Yes.
meeting. It's a different product, same brand. We had a meeting with them. They explained the particular vibe of this product. We know their language at this point. Like, we kind
Yes.
of we know them more. Like,
Hmm.
we know what they are personally interested in and what excites
Right.
them. This recruitment was so much easier. They were like thrilled with, everyone on the list. They're like, it's just like you get into this rhythm.
You do. And to go take it back to the creator brief, I think not I think, you just described a process that takes time, and
Mm-hmm.
it takes investment of energy, takes patience, even if it's only 2 months, it's patience in terms of the learning curve. That's again where I think the creative brief can sometimes be used as a tool to shortcut that or to minimize the anxiety around that process instead of having time, attention, bandwidth to let that happen.
Well, and that's the I mean, not to make this a sales pitch, but that's the benefit of working with an agency versus, so like, we know this brand now, right? Like, we get them, we can make tweaks to that brief to make sure that what they want gets conveyed in like an influencer language way to
Right.
those influencers.
Hmm.
If they're doing all of this work in-house, like, they're recruiting new people in they're going that whole process that they went through with us from January through April, they're having to go through that every single campaign that they're doing, whereas now, like, we got like we're taking that on for
Well,
them.
and most brand teams don't have the time to archive what happened that first time
Right.
internally if they're just doing it, whereas you do. So I agree with you there. There's another point I was going to make about this. I'm with you on the benefit of working with an agency to fine tune this, to speak the language, to shortcut some of these things, to learn your style.
And I
I don't
think you
think
can
most brands
also,
know what their style is until
yeah.
somebody reflects it back. Like no influencer is going to play the role that you play and say, "Hey, what I'm hearing is," or it seems like they're just going to be yes or no, and it's fairly
And we
cut and dried.
answer like, from the client's point of view, they approve the creator brief. They approve the creators, they approve the creator brief, they see a video concept, they approve that, and then they see a draft. Like, those are the touch points from the client side, at least for our process. What they're not seeing is, like, Alicia on our team fielding 14 questions
Plus,
from Joe
yep,
Bodybuilder, who we just recruited for a campaign. He's never really done something like this
yeah,
before, but he has a terrific audience and exactly the right feel for our
yes,
client. And he needs to be guided. And there's all of that, like, he's like, oh, I see this in the brief. Could I do that? What do you think? Do you like this? Like, want to get a gut check? Like, there's a
yeah,
lot of like touch points that are
yeah.
happening that
This
the client doesn't see.
No, totally. And that was what I had lost track of. And you made me remember it is working with an agency, you carry your client around on your shoulder. Like even when you're not specifically working on their project or initiative, you have them on your radar. And so when something like that happens, or you have your team prepped and ready to go, like there's so much more time and attention that an agency team will put into it than gets listed. And now we're far afield from the creator brief itself, but even beyond that creator brief, what you're doing, what our team is doing, I realized that recently. It's like we're carrying our clients with us 24/7, even though we're not charging them for 24/7 attention.
Right.
And so let me lead you into this then. I still say that lacking that support or trust in an agency or turning it into too much transactional because of lack of time, bandwidth, can lead to the briefs that we said are maybe stupid. So let's talk a little bit about what we mean by that. What's stupid? Have you had to I'm confident that because you have that process in place and that strategic, you don't get to that point, but
I
we've
mean,
seen
I've
some
seen
funny
some stuff. I
things.
don't know that I'm going to call it stupid. I have seen some briefs, just because I'm trying to be polite. I have seen some briefs that are not what I would call best practice.
Mm.
I think
Mhm.
anything in a PowerPoint format is not advised. Um,
Does that matter or just turn the PowerPoint into a PDF or does it lend to too many slides?
I think it's too many slides. I think it's something that you're sending and they're downloading, and then it's a thing. And then if you have to update it, you have to resend a whole new version. And I
So
don't
any kind
love
of
that.
document, like you want
Yeah,
it
any kind
living.
of document.
Hmm.
And I just think PowerPoints, it's like such corporate. It's funny. I'm taking this AI course, like an advanced AI course with the guy who did
The
my
dark side 202.
beginner one. Um, and he was saying they have like decks, PowerPoints are like such a part of our life as marketing people, and that's how you communicate everything. And so it's no surprise to me that when an agency has to brief a creator, they instantly
Think of that
flash forward to deck. What's
platform. Yeah.
interesting, what's come up in this AI class is he said like the reason decks were created in the first place is because we needed this easy and visual way to get our ideas across, and like something like a PowerPoint was the most affordable way to kind of bring that capability to the masses. And as anyone who has spent time like with AI, one of the things that AI is terrible at is making decks. So you can't, like if you even Gemini, like it has Google Slides. You should be able to say like, can you make this document into a
Yeah.
deck? And it like it'll make you something that looks like it hopped right out of like 1996. It looks terrible.
Terrible. Yeah. And
And
not
so
editable, not changeable. It's terrible. Yeah.
what he has said is like, what's the point of a deck anyway? Why do we need a deck? Like we're all online.
Yeah. We can show examples, like you said, of this is content that
So
looks
he
like we want it
just,
to
what
look.
he does, he never does decks anymore. He just has AI generate websites for him, and
Interesting.
everything's a website.
Okay.
And so, like, I don't know. It's just interesting. It,
That might
I
be
don't
the
know.
most powerful takeaway of any of our podcasts
Yeah.
ever, that people will grab, like use AI to make websites to
I just don't
reproduce.
know. Like, normal human beings don't want to get their information from it. I'm not a normal human being. I'm in the marketing world. I have to see decks and make decks and present decks all day, every day. I don't want to see a deck. No one wants to see a deck.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a barrier
so
to
let's not
entry.
do that. The other
Downloadable.
thing I haven't liked, and it was like a deck, and then let's take it a step further down the like disaster hole and make this deck personalized for Casey
Oh,
with like
oh,
creepy. I think we talked about this before, like creepy, like just
too
it
detailed.
felt like a stalker, like, oh, we know you do this thing with your child, and so what we envision for you is you will take our product and show it with your child, and like here, and look at the screenshot we took of your living room. You would do it in there like super like
Yes.
extra. Don't do that.
Boundaries.
I don't like that.
That's problematic for two reasons. One, that stalkery feel, like it's just overkill. And then
Yeah,
also what you just described is super prescriptive. Like it's
right.
very like uh, again, we hire influencers because they bring their voice to it, because they have ideas and experience and curated knowledge of doing what they do. Let's hope they do. So why not lean on that?
And that I should mention that deck was over 50 slides, that
No,
personalized
babe.
deck.
That's just way too much. Think about the exhaustive resources that were poured into that at
Yeah,
50 pages and
yeah.
at that high level of
Yeah.
detail.
So I don't like
Run for the
decks
hills.
for influencers. I don't like something that's super word. I don't like a Word doc that's just like word. Like this is a visual
Medium.
medium where
Yeah.
we're asking for a photo carousel or a video. Like
Mm.
let's show, not tell.
What do you think the simplest deck could be? Like, how simple could it get? Not even the platform or the elements in it, but is there
Yeah.
anything that you've shared that you do that you would say could be carved out of it?
Like remove
Mm-hmm.
from it. I mean, we probably could remove what, like, here's examples of content that our client loves. But I think sometimes that does like if a client has a specific vibe, I think that's just a really helpful way to show it, because sometimes it's hard to just like we know that a client just has this
Aesthetic.
certain je ne sais quoi
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
going for, and it's
Yeah.
just easier to show it in that way. There's one thing that we don't do a lot, and we only pull it out like when we need it, And that is, we'll have someone from our team make a video that gets shared with everyone on the campaign, explaining something, talking to camera.
Intricate or tricky, or
we did it. I can't remember what client it was, but it was a few months ago. And the client just really wanted to stress that, like, please don't make this sound scripted. Like, this should be like you talking to your best friend, super casual. Don't like get hung up over it. Don't trip over yourself. Like, this is like a casual, like, and we had tried saying it and people were still a little bit
stuck in a different
like
mode.
Just like stiff. And so we tried doing this video and it helped tremendously, but you don't need that for every campaign.
Well, it's a good point though, that whether it's words, links, visuals, audio, there are lots of different styles of learner out there. And the more that you can cover, even in one document, the better. So I love that idea, actually. I think video is probably underused in terms of briefing creators.
Yeah, I think you could probably take most of it and make it. I mean, I think you could have the checklist and a video, actually.
Yeah, there we go. Wave of the future.
One day.
This was good.
This was awesome. So I will be tan next time I see you.
I love it. Challenge accepted. I want roles reversed here. I will hide in a closet for the next few weeks and see if I can get, not that sounded terrible. I don't know what that meant. Sorry. like you've been hiding in a closet. That
Feels
was
like
not
it.
my intent. Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's just work from home, people. No, it's the Michigan atmosphere and my trip to Florida all combined. But listen, have a great time. Whatever you do. Stay out of the big waves. Stay safe. Drink some Mai Tais.
Do all of the above, and I will see you on the flip side.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Safe travels. Bye.